All right. All right. So, hi. Hello. Sorry. I was making sure everything was all set up so I can see comments. Hi, Tiff. How are you? I'm always going to call you Tiff. I hope you don't mind. Hello from the UK. Let's see. I have my phone set up so I can be live this way. And then I have my tablet going so that I can see comments, but the comments are not showing up maybe. How do I make those show up so I can read them? So if Tiffany Solario is around, that's why she made me do this, so that I knew what I was doing in front of you all. Isn't that exciting? Hello from Seattle. Hello from Australia. Yeah, that's what I thought too. All right, let's see. So the chat that I can see is because I'm standing up above my phone. So these are the journals that we're going to flip through. And we will do that soon. We have about 5 minutes here. Thank you for joining me early. Oh, I should. Let's see. I'm going to turn my notifications down. How does that sound? And my ringtone. Okay. So that should be good. Arizona. Oh, it's so cool where everyone's that's my favorite part about this is that we can all connect from all over and all over the world, not just the US, right? So that I love it so much. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here and click the live video. I love that that was the top of my head. Oh, there it is. Okay, it came up this time. Aw, thanks, Tiffany, for your help. Man, girl, I love you. All right, and can you hear me okay? Everything's good that way. These are my journals. Oh, okay, so there are two different kinds of journals. I should wait until 8. Should I wait till 8? I said 8. Okay. Relax. Breathe in, breathe out. It's been a long time since I did anything live, so I'm not doing any arting today for you. I will later. Okay, volume is good. That's good. So we're going to do some flip throughs of a couple journals, and then I will add some information into the comments section at the end. Stuff that's going on. Oh, thank you. I did find the chat. I really appreciate that. I think it just wasn't updating at first. So my tablet probably, it's a Samsung Galaxy. It's a couple years old. It probably needs an update. So I'll make sure and get that done. Holland. Oh, that's cool. Oh, so awesome. I'm super honored that you guys have found time in your schedule to join me here. And I love this. I love posting videos and tutorials and sharing with you guys. And if this goes over really well, we'll totally do some stuff live. You'll have to let me know what you think. Thank you, Irene. So it's Sunday, 8 a.m. and it's early. We were up last night watching that new show on Netflix, The Umbrella Academy. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm liking it a lot. And maybe I wasn't planning so well when I said 8 a.m., but I'm here. I'm awake. I'm good. We're good. I'm excited. How many of you guys make your own journals from scratch? Good morning, Mary from Michigan. So it's a little bit later there, like 10 a.m. maybe. Yeah, so making your own journals is even so much more rewarding than like buying a pre-made journal, unless you're purchasing like a handmade journal. So there's handmade journals by artists, and then there are journals mass produced at the craft store and or at the art store or at the whatever, wherever you're shopping. There's nothing wrong with any of them, but if you ever get the chance to purchase a journal from an artist, you should, because their blood, sweat, and tears went into that journal. Or two, make your own journal, because your own blood, sweat, and tears go into that, and then you really know the value that comes from such a little piece of goodness. Good morning from Fargo, North Dakota. My brother lives in Dickinson. Hello, Emma from England. All right, so it's 8 a.m. Okay, so let's jump right in. And I'm watching, so if you have any questions, please let me know. We're going to start off with our Mad Matter journal. Okay. And this journal it's an art journal. It's certainly an art journal, but it's more of a like a mini book. It's like a half mini book, half art journal. And the reason is because I've made each page like cohesive rather than turning the page and working in a new journal. So what this is this is the offering. This is half. Well, it's more like a quarter. This is a quarter of the offering that Tina Walker and I are teaching in April in Pennsylvania. So what we've done is we are doing a dye class, and we're going to teach you all about dyeing fabrics and papers and like silk cocoons and all kinds of natural yarns and things like that. We're going to teach you how to eco dye them. So it's natural dye. It's not harmful to you or to the environment unless you have like maybe an actual allergy rather than chemically. So there's no chemicals or anything like that. We're going to be dyeing papers and fabrics. And other things. So for example, real quick, here are some of the fibers that have been dyed. And they've been dyed with all natural things. So we've done some berries and some vegetables and some beans and some spices and powders and different things, but it's all natural, 100% natural. And that's like my favorite part. Hi, Tina. So here, you guys, okay, so good morning to everyone who's been here, but here's Tina. I'm so glad she found time to join us today. So it's Tina that I'll be teaching with at her private studio. Okay, so it's in April, called the Mad Matter. And so this is like one small portion of the stuff that we have going on. But so the fabric, that's how cool it looks. It's all natural dyed. It all started out very like tan or white, and we're adding the color. And then from there, we will make mini books, little books full of all kinds of stuff. So Tina has one book for sure, and then an optional second book that is not an additional price. It's just sort of if we get to it. It's a 3-day course. So I'll be teaching a book and Tina will be teaching a book. And she's got some beautiful paper that she's brought for the class. And we're doing all this hand dyeing. and then we're going to build books out of it. So here is my book, and it's this, you can see, so I have kind of small hands, but I would say, you know, it's about 3 by 4 maybe. It's not huge, but it has lots of really great, beautiful stuff to it. And you will come away with 2 finished journals, a whole set of natural inks that you get to take home and continue using in your journal. You know, we're going to do lots of mark making, and Tina and I have, it's kind of interesting. Tina and I use a lot of the same materials and supplies, but we use them in very different ways. So it's really, really awesome. And it's 2 teachers for 3 days. And so hit Tina up. Tina, feel free to post the link to the class if you want to post that right now. But so let's go through this journal. So we're going to be doing mark making after we do all of our hand dyed stuff. So you can see this is the cover. Oh, and this is my binding. We've dyed all these fabrics and made this beautiful little bundle. There's yarns in here and sari silk and cheesecloth. And we turn it into this little beautiful binding. And then this is my cover. So I'm working strictly with watercolor paper and then dyed materials from our class. And the watercolor paper has been dyed too. And there's some mark making on the front and some gold leaf. And this vintage button, that's my closure. And my closure is really simple. It's some wax thread and closes up like this. And then sits there. And as we open it, so we'll be using lots of our favorite things like charcoal and acrylic paint and Sharpies and Stabilos. And this is the back side. This gray color, this bluish gray, that is from the dye job. The dye job, that's funny to say it that way. And then this is some charcoal. This is one of my favorite techniques, charcoal and water and gesso. And then here's like a little miniature abstract page done on fabric, dyed fabric. And so once I sort of saw the color palette that I came out with for my dyeing, I decided to do the whole book in this sort of, I know, right, Tiff? Color. I decided to do this whole book in this sort of like coastal kind of moody theme. And my book is not quite done yet. I have some things sitting to the side that I'm waiting to add in, but then this page is the back side of that fabric, and we punch holes and we do some simple threading and some stitching and some weaving. We'll do some collaging. We'll leave some pages nice and simple. I'll also be teaching resin paper, so you guys, you're going to walk away with amazing things at this class. So here's some resin paper, turns into this beautiful little plastic piece. We'll be stapling stuff down. We'll be dyeing things. I love masking tape. I think everybody knows that. This page right here is 2 pieces of fabric. So we'll layer all this together and bind it. And then this is 2 pieces of dyed fabric that have been worked into a single page. Here's more resin paper. We're doing lots of mark making. Tina and I are going to show you our favorite marks. And we're going to use all our favorite supplies. So, you know, paints and inks, our homemade natural inks. Pencils. Here's one of my favorites, big watery Stabilo. Look at this. So this is the dye. I'm definitely doing a tea dye bath, and the reason is because everyone is more familiar, or more people are more familiar with a tea dye bath. And so I did one of those, but then, you know, we have berries and just all kinds. Beans, the black beans turn out beautiful when you dye with those. And we'll teach you how to get the best color for your dye, for your bath, and how to get the most stuff. This is resin paper again. And then this is like just a journaling spot on the back, but I turned the resin paper into a little tab. I will be showing French knots and making sure that everybody in the class understands how to do a French knot, because they're my favorite and they just make the most beautiful little cascade on this page. And look at how cool these, so this is dip dyeing. you get these amazing, almost like landscape style ridges in your die, and it's awesome. And here's my back page doing some more mark making. I don't know at this, we're not recording the workshop, the actual workshop in April. I'm not 100% sure if we'll offer a digital version down the road, but there's so much information involved that I'm not sure that will be an option. But we'll see about maybe piecing out some parts. I don't know. I don't want to guarantee anything. We don't know yet. You know, we're running this workshop together as a partnership, and so all that type of stuff, all those decisions are made together. And but we'll definitely take it into consideration. How does that sound? So here, look, I love this back page. Like, I almost wish this was the cover. It's so pretty on its own. But every page is so unique and awesome. And I'm still, like I said, I'm still adding in some things in there to make it really, really worth it. But such a cute book. I love this book. Yeah, I believe Tina is up for traveling, and I'm always up for traveling and teaching, so we will definitely look at things like that. I've had some interest here in Vegas too, so kind of surprising Tina with all this stuff. I hadn't mentioned it to her before, but we've had a couple requests here in Vegas, so. All right, so that's book number 1. Okay, that's our Mad Matter book. So Tina Walker, Mad Matter, which there's 2 books for sure, 3 books, you're dying, you're going away with all this fabric, all kinds of stuff. Like, it's mind-blowing what you're getting. And there's 2 teachers. So that alone, it's twice the knowledge that you would have gotten any other way, okay? All right, so Mad Matter, man. It is top freaking notch. Tina and me. And then, so we're going to show off the DeeDee's 2019 experiment. So this really has been an experiment. It's been wonderful. I have been doing 15 minutes a day in this little journal and then boiling it down to 5 minutes of a video. So there's no instruction. You get to watch me art, and you get to see the supply list. That's it. And it helps me get you more content that way. And then also, like, I have gone weeks without getting art in because I would always think, oh, I need to give them such a jam-packed video full of information, and so I have to have an idea, and then I have to art it, and I have to record it, and then I have to edit it and do a voiceover, and then I have to save it because exporting takes a long time when you're editing a video with all the things that you've changed. And then there's uploading. And then once you upload it, then you have to edit it again because you want things like end cards and stuff like that. So anyways, and then there's spreading it around and making sure all of your friends who want to see it get to see it. All of my friends who want to see it get to see it. Because you are my friends, by the way. But so there's like all this stuff involved, and then sometimes I just didn't have the time. So I have taken, like I said, 15 minutes. That's my time limit. And sometimes it's a couple seconds under, and sometimes it's a couple seconds over, but it's never more than 16 minutes and never less than, say, 13. And then I boil them down into this. I know, right? I think sometimes people who don't make videos don't always understand exactly how much time goes into them, and it's good to list it all out so they can know, and they better appreciate it. And we appreciate the time that you guys take to watch our videos and leave nice comments as well, and sharing them. That really helps us out when you share with your friends our videos. It's a community, right? Sorry, I saw Tiff's comment. But so taking the 15 minutes, I can definitely give myself 15 minutes at least every day to just sit down and do a page. So that's what this is, 15 minutes, and then it still takes a while to save the video and to upload it, but I've nixed everything else. There's not a whole lot of editing, and there's not a whole lot of voiceover and anything like that. So I did cut down significantly the time, but I will say it still takes time to edit, and so I'm a little bit behind, about 2 weeks, I think-ish, behind on uploading the videos, but I have been recording them, and I am doing it every day. So this is that book. This is the 2019 experiment book, okay? And there's a couple pages at the back that I can't show you because those videos haven't been on YouTube yet. So I've sectioned it off. So that's right here and below. And then once this journal is done, I just moved on to something else. So you'll see, it's really exciting. And I'm really excited to show you the next part too. But so this journal is built out of paper bags. And then I put a bingo card on the front and the back to stabilize it. And then when I first made this journal, the binding was actually only about a 1/2 inch. So as you can see, as I've been working on this, I did have to rebind it. And that's easy to do, rebinding. So you just snip it and then add in an extension, and it works really well. And I did sell some of these on Instagram too. So thank you to everybody that bought journals on Instagram. I sold out of those. I made 10. 5 with handles and 5 without, and those babies flew out the door. So I always appreciate that. It's fun to make journals, and it's fun to pass stuff on too. So this it's just a duck cloth binding, and it's got this cute little like travel print on it. And so duck cloth is really similar to canvas. It's like a printed canvas, and then it has a PVA glue binding. So all my pages are actually glued to this binding, and then that helps it open up. But as you can see, sometimes my pages have kind of pulled away from the binding, or maybe they didn't get glued in 100%, and that's okay. I tape them in. I add a little bit more glue. It turns out perfect. So this was my very first page, and I just went with it. And if you saw this video, I struggled so ridiculously because it's vintage piano paper, like a vintage piano roll. And so it kept tearing while I was working on it. And it's okay, because I'm still learning like everyone else. It was really funny though. As I was filming that video, I thought, oh my God, they're all going to think I'm an idiot. So page 1 and page 2. Do you want me to talk about every page, or do you want me to just flip through them? I love this. So this is this whole little idea right here. Word crumbles. Is that what they're called, Tiff? So Tiffany, Southern Gals Designs, and okay. Southern Gals Designs, and Susie LaFond from Susie in Minnesota. Is that what MN stands for? Yeah, Susie and MN on Instagram. So they do these beautiful pages with word crumbles where there's like a big section of all these different texts and things like that, and then they sort of crumble down the page. Word crumbs. I always add ols, crumbles, word crumbs, and they always kind of cascade down the page and then have a little sentiment or saying or mood or whatever strikes them at the bottom. So I love it. I love it so much. Check them out. That's this page here, and this big fat Sharpie. So I got this Sharpie. I had never seen a Sharpie this big. And I don't know if it comes across, but now you can sort of see it. Look how big this is. I got this on my trip to Australia when I was teaching there in November for 3 weeks. Yeah, so look at this thing. I bought it from a shop there. Oh, it's so crazy. Okay, so I was playing with that here. And this is just some old like paper bag material. I know, it's so big, but that's just it. It's got this giant chisel tip, and it makes the most beautiful marks by itself, where you can fling it and it makes like really great splatters. So that's this page here, and I always use Stabilo and gesso, and I definitely have some standards or some like core supplies that I use. This is a little glassine envelope, and I'm not sure where I got it, but I want some more of these because it's like tan glassine, which I think is cool. And there's some collage on here with some of my 7 Dot Studio paper from the, I know the name of the collection, but it's terrible that it's not coming to mind because I've made a lot of them, a lot of collections for 7 Dot Studio. And then this is one of my favorite collage fodder pieces in the background. It's a little bit hard to see, I think, on this page because it's small. Mary, oh my gosh. I don't know where I got the tan glassine. If anybody else knows a good source for glassine envelopes, let us know. But so this right here, it's from a map, an atlas, like a, you know, a big geographical book, but it is longitude and latitude. So it's lots and lots of numbers with just a few hints of letters, which it's usually like the other way around. So I love it. And it's black and white. So I can add, and you guys know I love black and white, and I can add color to it if it strikes, because we all know that I am a little subdued when it comes to color. And then I took use of this fact that it's an envelope. So this is an IKEA tag, and I just did some mark making on there, and it's just a little extra whatever. It doesn't have to be anything. It just is. I felt bad leaving the envelope empty. And here's the other side. So here you can see again. Hi, Kim. Guys, Kim is my friend in Phoenix. She used to live here in Vegas and come to my classes. She keeps her eye peeled for a class that speaks to her soul so she can come back and join us. So this is the back side of that glassine envelope. And so over here where I did collaging, this one I did more of like a cluster. And there's masking tape in the background and more of that longitude, latitude paper. This is one of my favorite stamps for Viva Las Vegas stamps. And I put some teal paint around it and grunged it all up and used a regular Sharpie. This page is really exciting. So I know that lots of people were super excited about this. It is an acetate page. So it's clear. And it's just a chunk of acetate that I had laying around from a different project. And I did a cluster here with some gesso and some fabric and did some book text gluing and then a little bit of splattering. And then when I flipped it over, I had to stay on the same shape, but I did everything that I could to make it different than the other one. So there, you can still see the splatter through it. The really cool part, I think, is the back of the staples. This is where I learned that I love I always knew I loved staples, but I always use them at the end, okay? So this page right here is what turned me on to using staples earlier in my work so that then I can incorporate them as more of a texture layer than a finished like attacher like I did on this side. So here's the back side of the glue page, of the clear page. And it's got some scuzzy water and some pencil marks and some DMC floss, sort of bringing in that whole stitching idea without having to stitch. And then here is my coordinating page for this one. Now, a lot of times when I was working, I would do this page and then take photos and then come right back and do this page. And not right back, but like I would do this one at night and then this one the next morning. So sometimes my stuff, and then I had like, you know, the afternoon to edit and get some stuff up. But then the next, so whenever I would come in with the next one, a lot of times my materials would be the same on my table that I had used the night before. And that became a little bit of an issue on some of the pages because then I felt like they were a little bit too close together. But so this one, I tried really hard to use similar materials and get the idea that I had in my head across quickly because I only have 15 minutes. So you'll see in here some of my pages seem a little more plain, and that's because I spent like a little too much time on them. On one technique. It's still only 15 minutes, but I should have moved quicker. And that's my favorite thing that I've learned from this, because in my art career, I've always been slower than some. Not as slow as some, definitely not as fast as a lot, but I like to hem and haw, or I don't like to, but I do hem and haw, and I say, oh, well, what if I sort of blotted out the birds in the back and then made this one very specific, and then, okay, so it would have taken me time to think about that, but in my 15 minutes I got better at not doing that. So this is look at this, is a tiny little page. It's really short and long, and the other thing I love about this is how all the pages play together and sort of peek through each other, and I love that. But so this was a piece of 7 Dot Studio paper that I designed for my Lost and Found collection. And this one was Northern Lights. There you go. See, I knew I would remember. So this is for my Lost and Found collection, and then it's an Umwow Studio stencil. So it has birds on it, and this is a like a Titan Buff paint, and then some gesso and a graphite pencil. And I love it. I love this little page. It's so subtle in here amongst lots of like dark and intense mark making. I prefer random size pages too. And one of the things I really like about it is when they're not the same. So I use this page one way, and then when I turn it, I use this page a different way. So over here, it's more of a complementary piece to sort of the whole album. And then this one really stands out and is its own sort of little page. And there's some mark making in the background and some fibers. I love fibers, so I glued in some muslin. There's more more Northern Lights. And then this is one of the Tim Holtz chip pieces. And you can see, look at how thick they are. It's really cool. It's similar to the same thickness as my chipboard, which I really love. So I've enjoyed this 15 minutes because it's making me get stuff done. And it doesn't have to be like huge showstopper pieces. I love each and every page, but I love them more as a whole and together. This page right here is resin. And so it's vintage text that's been all resined up. And it has, well, this one was a while ago. It definitely has Stabilo, and I think, judging by the color that the gesso is turning, it probably has some powdered charcoal on it, but I'll have to go look. And then this is called Sgraffito, where you kind of scrape into layers of paint to reveal what's underneath. Mark making and writing. Yeah, if you guys need to set a timer, it really does help overthinkers. That's what I needed it, and it's been really great. And I'm going to finish out this year. Come hell or high water, I'm going to have 365 little miniature pieces of artwork, whether they're all in a book or all in books or little cards or whatever floating around. Give yourself 15 minutes every day. And if you have more time than that, just use your 15 minutes for something small, and then the additional time use on something else. So this is the back. This is the front, and then this is the back of that page. And the back page is different than the front because, hi from Greece. Thank you. Don't worry about being late, guys. This should, it's going to save to YouTube, and you will be able to rewatch it. Yes. So, real quick about resin paper, whatever your resin paper is resting against when you make it, if it's not super sheen, super high gloss, then the top that is to the air will be really shiny, so you can kind of see it shining, okay? And then this side doesn't have as much shine because it was touching the mat, my non-stick mat, and so it's more matte. It's kind of interesting, but it's still really cool to do this resin paper and then to work on top of it because it's a whole new, unique, different animal. And every journal that I made and sent out, I tried really hard to make sure each one had at least a piece of resin paper or a piece of acetate, so you got a chance to work on something new because they're very cool. I love stripes. I love stripes and mark making. I love black and white with a pop of color. And I love color. So I love color. It is totally my being. It means everything to me. But obviously I love black and white too. So I'm just doing me, right? We got to embrace it. This page right here, so there's Sharpie and there's splatters and all my favorite good stuff. These are carrot people, so I learned how to make these from Dina Wakley, and I'll tell you this 100 times over. Support the artists. Take classes, buy artwork, learn new things. We're all just trying to help you build your art arsenal, and we learn from each other as artists and instructors as well, teachers and product designers. I learned how to do these amazing carrot people in the Dina Wakley figuratively speaking class. Absolutely. All credit goes to her. They are gorgeous. They are moody, and I learned how to do them from her. This page right here, I remember struggling with this one. And hi, Carissa. Aw, I love seeing so many of my friends. This page, I remember struggling with this one, and it's okay. I'm allowed to struggle. You're allowed to struggle. Every day cannot be a good day. It just can't. We're humans. That's not how humans work. So when you're having a bad day or when something doesn't seem to be coming out, 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. Whatever happened in that 15 minutes, that's what I got. And now when I look back on it, it's not even as bad as I remember. It's fine. It has some mark making and some writing and collaging. It's a page. Not everything is going to be the Mona Lisa. And in fact, most of our artwork is not going to be. It's more important that we hone our skills and practice our skills than create showstoppers. Keep that in mind too, especially when it comes to an exercise like this journal. 15 minutes a day is not going to paint the Mona Lisa for sure. So here's one of my favorite color combos. I love this Venetian Rose from Amsterdam Acrylics. I buy this paint like 5 tubes at a time, you guys. Excuse me. I am not even kidding when I say that. When I fill my cart, I have 1 gray, 1 teal, 1 ochre, 1 Titan buff, and I have 5 Venetian roses because it is gorgeous. So this is the Venetian Rose Pink with some gesso, Stabilo, vintage text, and then this is my favorite Umwow Studio stencil. So it's the wheat stencil, and I use it upside down, and I use it sideways, and I use it right side up, and it is just the most beautiful, like little pretty, sort of feminine, but not too dainty, almost floral thing. And when I use it upside down, then it looks like those helicopter seed pods, which I die for. I love those things. Yeah, it's got lots of goodness going on there. And then this page, I remember everyone going crazy over this page, and I did too because of this little stitching that I did, and it was so, like such a whim, like I just did it, and I didn't even think about it. It's so funny. And then as I go back and think about it, I go, I don't know why I thought to do that, but it turned out so good. So I as a mixed media artist, I love everything. You've seen resins, fibers, fabrics, paper, all the mediums, and I love weaving. But weaving takes time and dedication that I don't have to offer because it's its whole own craft. So I'm trying to find and experiment with different ways to include it in my other everyday mixed media techniques. And this is one of them that I thought of. And it, like I said, it sort of just hit me spur of the moment as I was stitching this piece on, and I had this big fluffy yarn sitting to the side. And this is I'm trying to remember, this is alpaca wool maybe. I got this when I was in Australia too. And you can find similar things here in the US, of course. I just made sure to buy a couple supplies while I was in Australia so that I had some stuff to play with. And I could say, oh, I bought that when I was in Oz. I know, it's so sick, right? Oh yeah, I'm so glad, you guys. Yeah, if you are inspired by any of my stuff, please tag me. I try really hard to comment on everybody's artwork that tags me because I love seeing your artwork and I love inspiring you guys. And the fact that you leave me comments and get inspired by me just makes me more inspired. I'm so serious. So this was music note paper, and then there's the Venetian Rose again, and Stabilo. So this is using my Stabilo wet, which I love. I just dip it right in the water and then write with it. This is one of those pages where I was saying, like, I do need to practice a little bit better about putting my supplies away, because when I came and sat down, whatever was on this page sometimes ended up on this page because those were the supplies that were still left on my desk. But look at from this day, these 2 days to these 2 days. They're so different. This is so moody and stormy and just absolutely delightful. And I know that this is powdered charcoal on this one. And I love using masking tape. So at the beginning of this book, I was using masking tape, well, one, as a fixer, fixing my book for little pages that were pulling out or had gone wrong or whatever. But I have always used masking tape as a design element, but usually in the background. So it usually anchors something to the page. And in this case, that's absolutely true. So it helps set the mood. Aw, Barry, I'm sorry. I would hug you if I could. I hope you feel better soon. Yes, this page is very moody. So this masking tape in the background is sort of setting the tone. And it also aids to the fact that this was music note, so it had a vintage tone. And then this one is an index card, and so it was very white. And then the masking tape helped this page blend better with this page, but still keep this page, like, let this page have its own identity. So then when we turn, man, masking tape is my spirit animal. That is such a good saying. We're going to make shirts, Tiff. That's hilarious. So then these next two pages, this is like quintessential DeeDee Catron, like straight up. This is my favorite page ever. And I've made lots of pages since this one, but this is a spread, right? It's 2 pages. I got to get my words in the right order here. So when I first did this page, it had 15 minutes. And then when I came to do this page, I had some minutes left over that I got to finish this page with. And that's cool, because sometimes you need that. Sometimes 15 minutes really isn't enough. But if you're going to set yourself a limit, I would say stick to it as best you can. And so I can share 15 minutes between these 2 pages, but I wouldn't go further and then come back to these, because you got to get used to time limits too. If you're like me and you spend too much time on everything, then nothing will ever get done. And it's more about the more art you make, the better art you make, for sure. So the 15 minutes is helping with all of that stuff. A time limit is a really great way to help yourself expand. I kid you not. It sounds crazy because you think you're limiting yourself, but you learn to work within those limitations and you work better. So this page was all about texture, and you can see all this gorgeous texture and the golden ochre color, and it's really delicious. And then this is a Phases of the Moon stamp by Viva Las Vegas Stamps that I designed. I don't know, guys. I've been there a long time. Last year or the year before. It certainly isn't this year, but I feel like 2018 is too soon, so maybe 2017. But I love this stamp. And then this page, it's this vintage tissue paper. It's not really vintage, but it must have been a one-off because I've looked for it a lot. But this tissue paper has all this text on it. And so I collaged it on top of each other, and it's so delicious. It looks so awesome. And then I put these big stripes on here, and I actually had to pull this up, peel it up from where I had glued it down, and then pulled my stripes all the way across the 2-page spread, and I did this stitching. That I know that this is what sets it apart for sure. I love this stitching, these X's, and I kept them in a very specific pattern, and it's the same gold ochre that's over here, but in DMC floss. Oh, I love it. Hi, Jen. I didn't see you come in. So many of my girls are here. Love you guys. Thanks for joining me, everybody. All right, so the next 2 pages we go, it's really funny. Like, I definitely go in stages. So almost feminine and, you know, pretty and very vintage, and then super, super moody. And then we go into this really like almost modern sort of colorful impact. And then we go to all vintage text. It's really funny. So this page back here is a piece from Lost and Found, my 7 Dot Studio collection, and it is a vintage ledger paper. And then this over here is a library card. And so then here's those word crumbs I was talking about with Tiffany and Susie. Lots of masking tape, but you can see at this point I'm still using it in the background. And some pulling it all the way down from this sort of word cloud to get at an impossible necessary voyage. And then I did my voyage over here. So, and I did these 2 pages separate, which made it like very, very interesting to me how often my ideas and my sort of brain idea moved from one page to the next. And so this one, my boat in some churning waters, and they're very, very crazy and distressed and Not calm waters at all, but look, my boat is still sailing. Got to make it through. Little bit of mark making inside some of these shapes. It's a good page. And then on these, this is another piece of 7 Dot Studio Lost and Found. And then an Wow Studio stencil. And on this one, I didn't want to lose that beautiful background that the paper gave me. So some tips and tricks during your 15 minutes, right? Use your favorite supplies and just try to use them maybe in new ways. But then start with a pattern paper, a paper that you love. Like if you always start with just straight white watercolor paper or whatever paper you choose to work on, then you have to build up your background. But sometimes you can skip that step. You can aid yourself in your time limit by starting with a background that's already done. And think about handmade papers. This paper on this side, this is handmade by Tina Walker from years ago when she first started making her own paper. And it's beautiful. And I'm running out of my stash. But so this handmade paper, this is the 7 Dot Studio paper, like book text works, all kinds of things. So when you're making your journals, don't just put in straight watercolor paper. Add in some different, really fun ephemera type stuff. And so Wow Studio stencil and gesso. And when you're using your stencils, like we all love to put pastes and mediums and glitter glues and all kinds of things through our stencils. But don't forget that you can just use a pen or a pencil. And that's fun too. This page is, oh, thank you guys. Thank you for talking about my Wow Studio stencils. They do give such dimension. We very specifically buy an extra thick plastic for our stencils. And so when you get them, we laser cut. And when you get them, they're very, they have like a little bit of a, almost like a burn on them, like a tinged brown singed effect. Because the plastic is so thick, it just happens while they're laser cut. But I promise each of the stencils you get is brand new and they're thick. They give you lots of extra dimension when you use them with your mediums. That's true. Thanks, Mary. Excuse me. Okay, so back to this page. This is handmade paper by Tina Walker. And then this is, I think, graphite in the background because it's so gray. And then I remember this page too. I did some writing and then I did this sun stamp from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. I did it on tissue paper so that it would disappear into the background, but then it disappeared too much because I had writing and some lines, so I ended up cutting it out of white paper and gluing it on top. Wow Studio. So it's UMWOWSTUDIO.com. Check out the stencils section. That's my own company. I manufacture, I design, and produce all of that. So, hi, Asia. We've been going for 40 minutes now, so a little bit. We're getting closer to the end, but I will save it so you can go back and watch the rest of the flip through. We did our my Mad Matter journal, and now we're going over the 2019 experiment. So this is the back of that page. And see, you can see like my binding is not perfect in here, and that's okay. As long as most of the pages are anchored together, we'll be good to go. Lots of vintage text finds its way into my work. I love it so much, both as a design element and as sort of like the sentiment main idea. This is rusty wire. So this is totally inspired by Jen Ingle. She really incorporates wire into her work beautifully. And if you guys are in my Facebook group, if you're not, feel free to join. Just answer the questions truthfully. And it is, let's see, Mixed Media Arts with DeeDee Catron. And I post like really inspiring things from other artists around the world and stuff like that. And I posted one that this artist, she does all wire work and it's really, really stunning. So between her and Jen, and I really need to add more wire and metal components to my artwork. And like not, I do add a drawer pull in here, but not necessarily that type of stuff, but more like sculpting of my own. I'm really excited. I've got lots on my brain, especially after playing around in this journal. So then if we go to the other side, this page was more music note paper, and I did some collaging with a vintage book text. Here's where my masking tape starts to take a front seat instead of a back seat. So I very specifically gave it these big watery Stabilo marks so that you saw it as a design element rather than a background collage piece. Also, if you can tell, there's some rust that's transferring from this wire to this page as they rub together, and I love it. I love it so much. And here there's like really milky gesso. Like I didn't water my gesso down. It's funny. It's like I use gesso two ways, either really thick or really watered down, but this is really cool. It's sort of a milky look, and it's like halfway in between the two ways I usually use gesso. And then I brought back in that gold ochre because it's such a fabulous piece. Here's another spread where I borrowed minutes from this page for this page, and that's okay. You got to be easy on yourself when you're trying something new. So this page was a hot friggin' mess, but it is much better now. And so it has this whiteout poem, and I learned about whiteout poems from Ivy Newport. And it says unpublished from Echoes in total volume. Whoa, how cool is that? Right? Oh, it gives me chills. And so this came about after I had already done this carrot person. And look at this tape here. I told you I was starting to use masking tape as more of a design element than a background piece. And that's happening here as my masking tape anchors this to the background and then pulls it all the way up to the top. And then here's the first place that I really used staples as a design element rather than just like a, I always use them as an attacher, but here I use them as a design element and gave myself some plus signs or some X's. And then when I turn it over, so this is one of my favorite spreads in this book. And the reason is because I used these staples as a texture on the back. So the thing to remember when you're working in a book is whatever punches through ends up on the other side. And so in this case, I use them as this gorgeous texture base for when I started to bring in gesso. And this is a tag, just a normal shipping tag. And there's a drawer pull down here and some grungy Stabilo, and there's lots and lots of Stabilo up here. I love it so much. And then some Umlau Studio chipboard stars to finish it off. Oh, thank you for saying that. There's always black. I know, I wear black every day. I love black. It really makes all colors look better. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Well, thank you, Kathy. This page here, as a compliment to this one, it's a piece of Prima packaging. So I don't remember what was flowers, probably, but or maybe stamps, because this looks like Finn's packaging. So I think that this was yeah. I know for sure it was packaging. So all of this writing, remember earlier I was saying, utilize your time, and it's best if you don't spend so much time on the background. So this paper had all this writing and this clock and all this good stuff going on it anyways. All I did was cut the Primo logo off the top. And it already had this clock, and I filled in some white Sharpie like stippling. I put more masking tape. I did some gesso, and I did this stitching on the side. See ya, Jen. I look good in black too, Kara, for sure. I did some stitching on the side, and then this down here, so you can see there's more staples. This is Dyed Sorry from the Mad Matter. And then this is one of my favorite lace. It's like a big chunky, here I can show you. So I have it's a shirt, and I put a hole in this one. So I went and bought a second one, and then now I just use this one in my art. So it's really chunky and thick, so I have to be kind of careful because it really takes over the story when I put it in. But when I use it sparsely like this, and then delivered by letter, a lot of times my words come from sort of what's hanging out on the side. and not always like do I hunt them out and make something specific. Sometimes I do, but sometimes not. And when we turn this over, I completely just covered the stitching with gesso that was on this side. This page has really heavy gesso on it, and I spent most of the time just drawing, most of my 15 minutes. So don't forget, you only have 15 minutes. So maybe don't put like an inch thick of gesso. Yeah. And then I use a beautiful teal color by Amsterdam Acrylics, and there's this, I love this I love this technique. Painting and then rubbing it off. So I do it a lot. In this case, I did it with gesso, and I really love how that worked out. There's some more tissue paper and some Stabilo and some Sharpie. And this page, I was inspired by some artists that I follow on Instagram, and then also Tiff Goff-Smith, Southern Gals Design. So she's been doing some really cool sort of landscapey ideas. Well, I could pause the clock for drawing, but I'm trying really hard to stick to that 15 minutes because it's good for me and it's good for the video. And I don't want to misinterpret or let's see, there's a word I'm looking for. I don't want to misrepresent how much time I'm spending on each page. Yeah. So I try not to pause too often, like while I'm drawing. Yeah, so this page was inspired by Tiff and Southern Gals Designs, and she's been doing some kind of sketchy, like landscapey type feels, and I love scribbling anyways, so I went for a landscape idea on this one, sort of this horizon idea, and then some big black marks and some masking tape and Stabilo, and yes, lots and lots of Tenderly. This is a wet Stabilo. I'm telling you, if you've never used your Stabilo wet, if you use it dry and then add water, that's beautiful, but you should try dipping your Stabilo in some water. These are let me double check. Yep, these are the 2 most recent pages on YouTube. Okay. So this is big black marks, huge circles, and then I got out my G2 pen and did some like sketching and watering of that, and it really bleeds really beautifully. I'll be doing that on some more pages. And I just sort of paid some attention to each of these circles, and not everything has to be whole hum all over the page. So this is a little more subdued, but the end result is really beautiful. I would love to see this hanging on the wall, like a huge piece of artwork. And then on this side, some collaging. So usually I seal my papers either with a gel medium or a matte medium or a clear gesso. But on this page, I worked directly to this card. And you can see what happens when you don't. It gets like really warbly, and what happens is the pulp in the paper, the fibers, they soak up the water and they expand. And they never dry back perfectly like they were. So that's why your paper gets warbly when you add a lot of wetness to it. But so I worked in the background a little bit, grunging stuff up, and then did a collage with vintage text and this feather. Yeah. Okay, so then because you joined me today, I have a little bit of a treat for you. I'm going to show you a couple more pages that will be up on YouTube this afternoon, but you can get a sneak peek here first. So here are these 2. This is Teabag in the background, and lots of marks, and a little Wow Studios star. Moon from the Sun and Moon. And then look at this page. So this has turned into my favorite page. This one right here. I love this so much. I'm going to do it huge so it can be on my wall. That texture though, I know, right? Look at this texture, these tea bags. Look how far they stick out. That's one of the reasons I had to rebind my book, because it's gotten so thick with texture. But I love this page. And then when we turn it this way, look at how moody it is. Lots of string and texture. And then this page, so this one is like gel, so this little piece of card was sort of tan colored, and then I used gel medium or fluid matte medium to glue these strings down. But this ink is the same color on both sides because this one was sort of tan, and then I used it on white gesso over here with charcoal. It turned out really, really incredible. And it's a bit brighter on this side. And look at how these pages lay together. And then, yep, okay. So then you can see this one too. So that one will be up and this one will be up. And then the rest of it, you have to wait your turn. It's done, but you have to wait. So it's funny. So I go from this like really abstract, moody idea to this much more art journal-y, just playing around, sort of having a good time. Here's an image transfer. I'm using that masking tape as a design element again. Some vintage book text. And then on this page, I used this page as like I really utilized the background and just sort of went with what's going on there. And the sentiment on this one, it says, "A collection of the wind. Furious." Isn't that so good? It's so good. I don't know if this guy really matches it, but he's eyeballing whatever's happening over there. So that's it. I can't believe we got to an hour. Holy crap, you guys. Okay. Oh, okay. 2 journals. 1 girl. Sorry. Have you guys seen what Susie does on Instagram where she lays her journals inside each other so you can see how cool they are? I'm going to do that right now. I want to see. Aw, thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. Oh, let's see. I gotta find where that guy goes. Look at, oh, it doesn't work the same. My journals are too close in size. Gotta find big pages there. How's that? And small pages. Yeah, it's not the same. My journals are too close to the same size. That's okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here. Do you have any questions real quick before I shut this stuff off and get it saved for those who want to rewatch, who want to watch the replay? I'll answer whatever you got, man. Well, I'll try. I'll try. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. The Church of DeeDee. Oh my gosh. Okay, so thank you if you're here instead of going to actual church. I didn't even think about that. I am going to think better about my live timing in the future. Trust me. Thank you. Oh, you got it. And I'll do this as we go through too. So I know that those videos, the 15-minute videos, the 5-minute videos, there's no explanation in them. But after I have like a good group of them going, I'll go back and talk a little bit about each of them with you. So keep your eyes peeled. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I will. You got it. Lots more coming up. I'll go finish editing those other videos so you can watch them today. Thank you. Have a great work week, everybody.